When a fierce lion of the forest carried away a goat, a mother trembled in fear, tears streaming down her face, but the little child standing beside her smiled gently and said,
"Do not be afraid, mother. The lion will return the goat on its own."
What happened next did not only astonish people, it compelled even the fiercest beasts of the forest to bow in humility. Who was this child, at whose single call the lions came forward with reverence? When our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was only 9 years old, a severe famine struck Makkah. Rain had completely stopped, fields dried up, and the land turned pale and cracked. Wells and springs ran dry, and people traveled long distances in search of water. Yet, even that scarce supply gradually vanished. As the famine dragged on, the leaders of the Quraysh gathered to discuss what should be done. One of them said that a collective decision was now unavoidable. If they remained inactive, their homes would collapse, their children would perish, and their livestock would be wiped out. Hearing this, they agreed to follow an old customary practice. Another leader suggested bringing a large vessel filled with animal blood and taking an oath by dipping their hands into it, believing this would remove their hardship. A large container was brought, filled with blood, and one by one the prominent leaders of Quraysh stepped forward and dipped their hands into it. They declared, "Rain has stopped in Makkah, our children are dying and our animals are perishing. Today we swear that tonight we will go to the Kaaba, stand by its walls and pray to Allah. We will not leave until rain falls. Even if rain does not come, we will not abandon the walls of the Kaaba." As midnight approached, the leaders who had taken the oath slowly left their homes and headed toward the Kaaba. Among them was Abu Talib, the uncle of the beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. As Abu Talib was about to leave his house, the young Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam approached him and gently asked, "Uncle, where are you going?" Abu Talib paused, looked lovingly at his nephew and replied, "My dear nephew, do you not know that Makkah has dried up? There is no rain, and everyone is suffering terribly due to the lack of water." He continued, "That is why we have sworn an oath by dipping our hands in blood, that we will stand by the walls of the Kaaba and pray until rain comes. Tonight, we are going to fulfill that vow." Hearing this, young Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam looked at his uncle and softly said, "Uncle, please take me with you as well." Abu Talib did not respond immediately. He said, "My child, the greatest leaders of Makkah will gather there. They are all chiefs of Quraysh. If I take a child with me, what will people say?" Yet young Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam insisted once again. Abu Talib loved his nephew deeply. Seeing the child's insistence, his heart finally softened. Gently, he said, "All right, come with me." Holding the hand of young Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Abu Talib walked toward the Kaaba. Soon, the prominent leaders of Makkah gathered one by one. In total, 32 chiefs were present, the very men who had sworn not to leave the walls of the Kaaba until rain descended. As the news spread, ordinary people of Makkah also poured out of their homes. Men, women, elders, and children all moved toward the Kaaba, hoping that a way for rain would finally open. Soon, a massive crowd surrounded the Kaaba, as if all of Makkah had gathered in one place. Yet the 32 chiefs who had sworn the oath stood closest to the Kaaba, with Abu Talib among them, bringing along young Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. When the chiefs noticed a child among them, they were stunned. Exchanging glances, they fixed their gaze on Abu Talib. Some spoke angrily, "O Abu Talib, what have you done? Why did you bring this child here? We are the leaders of Makkah. This child has no place here." Hearing this, Abu Talib looked at his nephew and gently said, "My dear nephew, go and sit at the back." The beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam quietly stepped back and sat at the rear of the gathering. Then the 32 chiefs moved forward, firmly grasping the walls of the Kaaba. Together they raised their voices in supplication, crying, "O Creator of the Kaaba, send water upon us, grant us rain." Tears flowed as they prayed intensely, yet no cloud appeared in the sky. The entire night passed without result. Morning came, but the sky remained clear. The land stayed dry, carrying no sign of rain. The sun slowly rose, scorching every corner of Makkah with its heat. Still, those who had prayed through the night continued to stand by the walls of the Kaaba, even during the day. The same prayers were repeated again and again, yet the sky remained silent. Not a single cloud appeared. Under the burning sun, the 32 chiefs were drenched in sweat. Some began to tremble, others felt dizzy and nearly collapsed. Still, they remained stubbornly firm, continuing to pray for rain. At that moment, Abu Talib felt someone pulling his clothes from behind. Turning around, he saw his 9-year-old nephew, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, standing there. The sight made Abu Talib's expression turn stern. Angrily, he said, "O Muhammad, why have you come here?" With utmost respect, young Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam replied, "Uncle, please allow me to go forward. I will make supplication, and you will see. The one above will send down rain." Hearing this, Abu Talib was even more astonished. Sternly he said, "We, 32 leaders of Makkah, have prayed here all night, yet rain did not come, and you are only a 9-year-old child. Your prayer will bring rain. Go back and sit in your place." Hearing his uncle's words, the beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam slowly stepped back and sat down in his place. Once again, the 32 chiefs resumed their supplications, crying aloud, "O Creator of the Kaaba, send water upon us." But time continued to pass. 2 to 3 hours went by, yet the sky remained unchanged. No clouds appeared, no sign of rain emerged. Under the scorching sun, people grew weak and exhausted, while the heavens remained completely silent. At that moment, Abu Talib again felt someone pulling his clothes from behind. Turning around, he saw young Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam standing there once more. This time, irritation appeared on Abu Talib's face. Sternly he said, "My nephew Muhammad, why have you come here again?" The child replied gently, "Uncle, I have not come to ask for water this time. I have come to wipe your sweat." Saying this, the noble Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam adjusted his cloak and lovingly wiped the sweat from Abu Talib's face. Seeing this, Abu Talib's heart melted. He embraced his little nephew tightly. Within that embrace, young Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam softly said, "Uncle, please allow me to go forward now. I will do something, and then the one above will send down rain." At that very moment, a man standing nearby suddenly cried out, "O people of Makkah, water has come!" Everyone turned in astonishment toward Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Voices rose from all sides. "O Muhammad, come forward quickly." He stepped ahead, stood near the Kaaba, and calmly asked, "What were you doing?" The people replied, "We were praying for rain." Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam then said, "When you were praying, I was behind you. Now I will supplicate, and all of you will stand behind me." Hearing this, 20 of the chiefs respectfully stepped back. But 12 of them, driven by pride, protested, "This 9-year-old boy will stand in front and we behind him. That will diminish our honor." Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam calmly replied, "O people of Makkah, move back, for if I step back now, rain will never come." Hearing this, the 20 chiefs trembled in fear and warned the remaining 12, be careful. If Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam steps back, we will all be ruined." Hearing this, the 12 chiefs softened as well and stepped back. Thus, the great leaders of Makkah stood behind young Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They said respectfully, "O Muhammad, now we are all behind you. Please make supplication." Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam replied, "If I ask for exactly what you asked for, then what difference will there be?" The people asked in amazement, "Then what will you ask for?" Indirectly, he said, "You will see now." He then looked toward the sky. At first, light clouds appeared. When he raised his gaze again, rain began to fall. When the noble Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam raised his face fully toward the sky the third time, the heavens became covered with clouds and heavy rain poured down. The dry fields turned fresh and green. People rejoiced, soaking in the rain, crying out joyfully, "Ya Muhammad, Ya Muhammad, sallallahu alaihi wasallam." Thus, all of Makkah echoed with happiness. At another time, when Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was being raised in the home of Halima Sa'diyah and was only 3 years old, he lovingly asked one day, "Mother, where do my brothers go?" Halima replied, "My child, they go to graze the goats." The young Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam then said, "Mother, I want to go with them too." Hearing this, Halima became fearful and tried to stop him. But his sister Shaima said, "Mother, you know that when brother Muhammad goes with us, clouds shade him from above. The sun never touches him." Hearing this, Halima's heart filled with faith and joy. She realized that this child was under Allah's special protection. Yet a mother's heart remained cautious. She always hesitated to let young Muhammad out of her sight. But when young Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam kept insisting with innocence and affection, Halima's heart finally softened. She gave her permission. Thus, one day, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam went with his foster brothers toward the forest to graze the goats. There was something unique in the way the little child moved. Sometimes he gently stroked the goats' heads, sometimes he called them with affection. Remarkably, the goats would come to him willingly and graze calmly. For several days, this continued. Nearly 45 days, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam went grazing goats with his brothers. People noticed that wherever he stepped, thorns would not prick his feet. The goats never lost their way. An invisible sense of peace and protection seemed to surround everything. But one day, Halima could no longer restrain her heart. Lovingly, she said, "My dear Muhammad, from today you will not go grazing anymore." She said, "You are still very young. You cannot endure the harsh sun and the forest. I do not want you to suffer even a little." Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam accepted her words quietly. One day passed, then another. But on the third day, sudden chaos broke out at home. Halima's own son rushed in crying, fear on his face and tears in his eyes. Alarmed, Halima asked, "My child, what happened? Why are you crying?" Trembling, the boy replied, "Mother, a lion took one of our goats into the forest." Hearing this, Halima felt a deep shock. Her motherly heart filled with worry. What would have happened if Muhammad had gone with them? Tears rolled down her cheeks as she thanked Allah that she had stopped him that day. Yet another sorrow remained, the loss of a goat from the household. Tears were still flowing from Halima's eyes when Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam noticed her. He came closer, wiped her tears with his small hands, and gently asked, "Mother, why are you crying? What has happened?" Halima replied, "My dear Muhammad, a lion has taken one of our goats into the forest. That is why I am sad." Hearing this, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam smiled gently and said, "Mother, do not be sad. We will bring our goat back from the lion right now." Hearing this, Halima became even more frightened and said, "My child, lions are very dangerous. They do not return what they take, and you are still so young." Then Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said firmly, "Mother, that happens to others. But what Muhammad says, that is what happens. When I speak, the lions of the forest will walk back with the goat themselves." Hearing this, Halima's eyes filled with wonder and faith. Holding her hand, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam led her from the village toward the forest. Reaching the edge of the forest, he called out with both gentleness and authority, "O lions of the forest, listen, return my mother Halima's goat." His voice echoed through the forest like a divine command. Soon, sounds arose from within the forest. Moments later, several lions came running, carefully brought the goat, and bowed their heads near the feet of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They gazed at him with affection. He asked, "O lions, did you not know this goat was ours? Why did you take it?" Humbly, they replied, "O messenger, we took the goat hoping for your blessed sight, so that you would come to us. Without you, the forest feels empty. The goat was only an excuse." Hearing this, tears flowed from Halima's eyes. She realized that even the fiercest creatures of the forest humbled themselves before this child. The lions said, "O messenger, if we have shown any disrespect, forgive us." Smiling gently, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam replied, "Go, you are free. But remember, never commit injustice against anyone." Hearing his words, the lions roared joyfully and returned into the forest. Halima's faith became even stronger. This child was no ordinary one. He had come as a mercy for the entire world.